Coyote Culture is presented by the Cheyenne River Predator Hunters and TS Customs, precision firearms built for success. We catch up with Seth and Dayton hunting in central South Dakota.
I looked down in the creek and it was running as fast as it could, just throwing snow.
It's a contest day, and they give a hungry dog 2 reasons to stay down. That's all right now on Coyote Culture.
Seth Longbreak, and you're watching Coyote Culture.
This segment of Coyote Culture is brought to you by Reese Outdoors, when only the best will do. Custom predator calls made in the USA.
On this day, we was in a contest. This good buddy of mine, Dayton Spiel, put on the contest.
This was a new piece of ground that I got wrapped up from a friend of mine. The first stand was a big old open draw and had the creek in the bottom with good trees. And
we was going in a spot. We went and checked this land out about a week before or something.
When we pulled up there, we seen this and it was just big and open, and we both said to each other, this is where we needed to sit for our very first stand. We start calling, and it wasn't but 5 minutes, I think.
I looked down in the creek and it was running as fast as it could, just throwing snow.
He was on a dead run straight to us.
I was hoping he was going to stop. I did not want that dog to get in too close. You know, it's contest day. I wanted to get a shot and not let him get our win, so. As soon as I seen that dog stop.
It was a contest day, so Seth dropped him.
When you have a dog like that come in a few minutes on your first stand on contest day, there's no better feeling. You just think the day's going to be awesome.
Good way to start off the morning for a contest. That's what you want. Team number 99.
This segment of Coyote Culture is brought to you by TS Customs, precision firearms built for success.
This was a couple weeks later after the contest, and Dayton and I are back at it again. We got a couple buddies with us on this one.
Really windy that day. We decided to get down in the bottom of the creek, or get down in there so they could hear us, and we got down there, set up.
We're set up on a high ridge, and it's a deep, deep draw. I figured that's where them coyotes are going to be tucked in on that windy day.
Started calling, and I believe we let out a howl, and it wasn't 20 seconds later I seen this movement in the trees. I thought it was a coyote or something, and he finally stepped out of the cedars there.
And he's howling back at us. And he's so far away, I don't know, 800 yards. He's got his head tilted back down from howling and before we even hear the howl. He wasn't really looking at us. He didn't know where he's coming from, and I didn't howl back at him. I didn't want to scare him.
Yeah, when he was barking, it wasn't a warning bark like he heard us coming in, or a challenge or a locator howl. It was just kind of different. he was standing there, and I told Seth, you know, do a distress, and so he started trotting off, and we actually thought he was kind of leaving or something.
I thought he was leaving, but he started coming around the corner straight towards us. I had a guy sitting next to me on the right. Dayton was down here below me on the left, and I told them two to get ready because he might come up on top.
He's gonna pop up right at the call. Right at the call. Get ready, because when he pops up, you gotta shoot him. He's gonna leave.
But I just turned my call down a little bit and kept calling, and that dog popped up right beside the call.
It sounded like it was just one shot, and after I pulled the trigger, all you could see was the fur fly. And
They actually both double tapped that dog about the same time. Sounds like one shot, but there's 2 bullets in him.
when you see fur fly in your scope at 100 yards, they're done.
Did you both shoot at the same time?
They did both shoot at the same time.
That was f***ing cool video.
Don't you guys said anything above the call I got.
He's dead though.
Oh yeah, you didn't.
That was
It's hard
badass.
enough to have one swallow one pill, not two.
Very successful hunt.
This segment of Coyote Culture is brought to you by Lane, the ultimate in suppressed firearms.
I'm here with Corey Johnston, owner of Lane Suppressors. Today we're going to go over basically how the suppressors are made, manufactured, all the steps you take to get it going, and just let you kind of explain that.
Yep, we're going to go get you an inside look at how these are made from the design side, from all the different softwares we use to design it to the machines that we use to manufacture them. We're going to try to get you an inside look at the whole process from start to finish and kind of give you an idea what goes into making these.
All right, well with that, let's get going.
All right. The first step that goes into any product is you have to have a good design. The majority of our time is actually in this side so that we get the product right the first time, so we're not just wasting time manufacturing products that are just going to change in the future. So we spend hundreds if not thousands of hours on this end of it before we actually make any product, because this is where we determine how well the product's going to perform. After we get designed, we want to test. We test it with a fluid dynamic simulations. We can determine what the gases are going to do inside the suppressor. With this system, we can get a pretty good idea how well they're going to perform before we ever actually produce anything. From that point, we move on to our CAM system, and we're telling our machines how to make the actual product or the part. We can run simulations so you can actually see what the tools are going to be doing, how they're going to machine out these parts. So this is a critical step in getting these produced exactly as the model is made. Now it's time to take this and generate programs and go out and actually machine some product. One of the first steps that we do is we take the tubes for the suppressor, and we laser engrave the make, model, serial number. All the information is required by the ATF. First step, we're going to use a full bar of titanium. We're going to feed it into the lathe. We're going to mark where it sets. We're going to lock it down. Each core is built specifically for each tube. We're going to measure our tube, get a good measurement, and start our first op. This is the first point that a chip is made for the suppressors. The next thing we do is we check to make sure our threads are good. So we use a go, no-go gauge. The threads on this side should go in and the threads on this side should not. This will make sure that our threads are in between the two sizes and they're within spec. So our threads are within spec. Now we made a cap that's just a little smaller than our production run caps to make sure that this will go on with a little bit of resistance. Lets us know that these threads are correct. We pull the suppressor up to the puck. That gets us out the distance to machine the length of the suppressor. Now the tailstock comes in and grabs the backside and it starts. Machine the length of that suppressor. Now we're going to remove the tailstock. Check that the tube does fit correctly. It has no wiggle. Put the tailstock back in and then we're going to part it off. So now we break it off and we're ready to go into op 2. Now that we've got our first op done, what we're going to do is load it in and drill the bore through for our second op. First thing we do, load it in, get our measurement out, then we use a drill guide. This is what will keep our drill centered inside the suppressor to make sure the drill bit isn't walking one way or the other. And we start our operation. So now we've drilled over halfway through the suppressor. Now we remove the insert drill guide, remove the part, turn it around, set the depth. We have to manually grind off the little nub. Then we're ready to start the next operation. So we got the second op finished. Now we go to the third op mill. After we've done all of our lathe work, now it's going into the mill. Lock the tailstock down, and we're going to run it. Now we're ready to go to finishing and assembly. So we've got our core off the mill. It's all done now except for the finishing work. First thing we do is we got to get all these burrs off. We do all of this by hand. We load it into our polishing machine. We just use this to knock off any burrs that have been left over and to clean it, just clean the edges off. Then we assemble our O-ring, assemble the core, run our cap down. Now we go back to the polisher. We use a sanding wheel to sand it all down. Remove the plug that we use to keep the sand out from the sandblasting. Hang it up. So now the paint's cured. We give two spare O-rings. We generate a label and a barcode with the information of the suppressor as well as the information of the dealer that it's going to, so that when we scan it, we have all the dealer's information that we can add to our ATF books.
As you can tell, there are a lot of different steps in building a suppressor. This is only one of 48 models.
48 models and hundreds of possible combinations given the colors and the different thread types.
These suppressors are a vital tool in our coyote calling, coyote hunting. We wouldn't be able to get the doubles, triples, quads, even a quintuple that we got without the use of these suppressors. I hope this answers a lot of your guys' questions. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you for coming.
You bet.
Next time, Ronnie heads out with a good friend for a hunt they will never forget.
This hunt, pretty chaotic.
But they did forget to grab one important thing.
And Tim's telling me he's out of ammo.
That's on the next episode of Coyote Culture.